Ladies and gents, welcome to TierZoo Reaction. This is the Ice Age tier list by the channel TierZoo. Yeah, man, we're finally at the Ice Age. Everybody watched those movies, the cartoon movies. Apparently, those were weird. But yeah, Ice Age. Basically, I thought those mammoth, elephant type. What are they called? Mammoths, I think. I think they are called mammoths, right? I thought they were bigger than the current elephants, but somebody, corrected me in the comment, like, no, they were smaller, and that was surprising to me, because I don't know what made me think that they were just bigger, but I think what made me think they were more bigger and powerful than the current elephants is because of Saber-Tooth tiger, because I know for a fact that was just way more OP than any tiger we have today. Saber-Tooth tigers were just badass. They were way too powerful, way too strong, slower, obviously, since they were bigger and stronger. But yeah, then there was, I think, some kind of wolf too, which was frightening. Cave bear, I know that cave bear. Basically, they went extinct around that time too, but they were just OP bears. No bear we have today can be match to them. So I don't have much knowledge about Ice Age, all the animals that went extinct. Obviously, this is 10-minute videos. So this is gonna tell us. TierZoo is a great channel. I love learning about the animals and things from this channel because he just makes it sound like it's a game or something. So it's just fun. I like how the footages he uses, all the all these game effects, visual effects he puts on that, and even the sound effects is just awesome. I reacted to quite a few TierZoo videos already. If you haven't seen them, check out the cards. There's a playlist I created for it. Check out the end cards in the end, I guess. Check out the link in the description with all my videos because not everything has playlist. So yeah, let's watch this one.
This video was made in partnership with CuriosityStream.
What is that? Is that saber tiger versus? What is that? What the hell was that?
After dinosaurs were nerfed, a lot of niches were left wide open. The power vacuum created a lot of pretty janky builds, most of which ended up getting nerfed in the final Ice Age balance patch. But nonetheless, some of the most interesting and unique builds of all time were part of the quaternary meta, and so I think it's time to finally create the Ice Age tier list. It's tough to make a fair tier list simply because just about every build that went extinct can directly or indirectly blame humans. Humans unlocking projectile weapons gave them such an oppressive advantage over large mammals that they became totally unstoppable in any server that lacked the proper counters. But since you should already be fully aware of how OP humans are, we're gonna kinda skip past them in this tier list and talk about the other great builds from the
I don't think you need to watch that video to know how OP humans are. Everybody already knows how OP humans are.
Ice Age meta. As always, we'll start from the bottom of the tier list and move up from there. In F tier we have the Megalosaurus, aka the giant deer build. This build holds the record for most evolution points put into the Antlers ability. Now, I've talked about the concept.
I love how the fictional world, like Lord of the Rings and even the video games like Elder Scrolls and things, always features this extinct species, because I think this giant antler thing in the Lord of the Rings, those elves, they ride around in those big elves with the massive, antlers. I think these are them. They are giant with the giant antlers. In the, Skyrim, everywhere there's cave bears and things, saber-tooth tigers. So I love how they use extinct species like that.
Concept of diminishing returns before on this channel. For example, discussing how the poison dart frog having toxins that are strong enough to drop an elephant is probably a bit of overkill.
What?
But in that case, it's not that being too poisonous is a
That damn frog can take down an entire elephant with his poison? Where'd that come from?
problem. It's just that some of those evolution points probably would have been better spent somewhere else.
Yeah.
But in the case of the giant deer, not only is this level of antler growth excessive, it's genuinely detrimental. First of all, antlers have a significant equipment load cost. Sprinting, fighting, or really just any everyday action costs more stamina when you're weighed down by heavy antlers, increasing the deer's food requirements and causing it to require rest more frequently. Second, antlers do break in combat quite frequently. While they're certainly powerful enough to defend from carnivore players, their purpose is to give male players a way.
Also the center of gravity issue. Antlers on the head basically causes lots of stability issues too, I guess, while running.
To complete the alpha male and mating side quests, and are frequently broken during these challenges. With normal-sized antlers, this isn't too big an issue, but when they each weigh 40 pounds, a break to one antler might also mean a break to the neck, or at the very least, make it tough to maintain your balance. Lastly, deer rely on stealth and mobility to evade attacks. The most common line of play is for deer to run to the safety of the forest, where they can hide much more effectively. Not only do antlers make it harder to run and make you stick out like a sore thumb, but their enormous hitbox makes it impossible to enter dense forest, a potentially game-ending limitation.
Oh yeah,
Giant deer may have been nerfed in power and HP, but they were one of the few builds that were actually buffed overall in the final Ice Age balance patch. In D tier, we have the Calicothir.
I mean, yeah, when you think about it, I get it. Power, defense, HP, that's all fine. But if you don't have mobility, you are already not an apex predator, alright? There are already lots of predators that could take you down. You need to spend your stats in the mobility to survive.
Buffed overall in the final Ice Age balance patch. In D tier, we have the Calicothir, a horse build that's spec'd into tree browsing and four-limb claws, similar to the giant ground sloth.
That's a horse?
Yes, Eons has already done an awesome video on the Calicothir, so I won't spend too much time on them. But I will say that unfortunately, unlike the ground sloth, Calicothirs were significantly worse at combat than the giant sloths that they were trying to copy, and frequently got bodied by predators that ground sloths would have had no trouble fending off. I don't have too much else to say about this build, but yeah, horse mains, you've got a good thing going, you don't need to copy other builds.
Yeah.
In C tier, we have the Terror Bird. Terror birds are basically an attempt to recreate the dinosaur build after non-avian dinosaurs were banned in the Cretaceous-Paleogene balance patch. And credit where credit is due, it does do a decent job of it. Terror birds were actually pretty OP in the early post-dino meta, having the best mobility and power at the time. However, as the meta progressed towards the Ice Age, mammal builds finally unlocked better defensive and offensive tools to combat this playstyle. And while their high damage pack attack could still bring down a large mammal in a few hits, its damage is completely negated by armor, failing where a pre-patched dinosaur's crushing bite would have had no trouble. Mammals eventually developed high damage attacks of their own, leaving the Terror Bird player base with only one solid advantage, being able to stand on two legs. This is actually a pretty significant advantage, but it's best used in conjunction with powerful grasping or slashing forelimbs, a trait Terror Birds fail to take advantage of. Speaking of armor, next up on the tier list is the Glyptodon, the best armored build of the Ice Age meta. Glyptodons were pretty safe from predators, being able to block attacks from most of the common weapons at the time. They also possessed two powerful offensive moves, the first being Skull Bash and the second being Club Smash, a move reminiscent of the Megalosaurus, although nowhere near as strong. They weren't by any means below average builds, but as a tank role I don't think they were near oppressive enough in terms of area denial for me to rate them any higher than B tier. Also in B tier we have the Woolly Rhinoceros, a more powerful version of the modern day Rhino build. Rhinos themselves are a tank variation of the horse build, and personally I don't see them as particularly viable in the modern day meta, due to a combination of two reasons: low intelligence and poor eyesight. This combination makes it very difficult for the rhino to determine friend from foe, and as a result, rhinos often team kill each other. They're hyper-aggressive, often attacking anything that they detect in their territory, which can include ridiculous things such as
Lions be like, dude, you don't want to mess with us. We'll come back with a group and you're screwed. Lions in a group can take down Rhino, right? I'm pretty sure they can. I mean, they're lions.
trees, rocks, and termite mounds. Anyways, I wouldn't put modern day rhinos any higher than D tier, but woolly rhinos, despite having the same issues, are powerful enough to earn a spot in B tier,
Seriously, look at
just
that
because of how important defense and offense was during this time. With the power creep starting to reach dinosaur levels, being able to defend yourself was critical, and the woolly rhinoceros had perhaps the most threatening weapon in the entire game at the time. Last in B tier we have the dire wolf. Dire wolves were the premier pack hunting build of the Ice Age meta.
They
were more powerful than any of the canine builds today, but actually on the weaker side when it comes to dogs throughout the Cenozoic meta. Earlier on, during the Oligocene and Miocene expansions that came just before the Ice Age, there were even stronger dogs, like the Borophagine and bear dogs. And yet it seems like the player base has constantly been shifting towards smaller, less powerful canine builds that were more agile and efficient. I think the reason for this is that the canine class in general is just best suited to the pack hunting strategy.
Yeah.
Team strategy is perhaps the...
They are already not that big enough, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be way OP predators than them. So best thing to do is, I guess, become smaller and more mobility, agile, and, more pack hunting type. That's the way to survival. That's what what was that dinosaur that always attack in pack? They're really small, but they're really dangerous because they attack in pack. I mean, you would think that, oh, come on, that dinosaur is so puny, everybody would kick their ass. But no, they're one of the most dangerous dinosaurs of all time. I need to react to dinosaur video too. I have some knowledge of that, but not too much. And I think tomorrow I'm going to react to dinosaur tier list too.
The best way to take on builds above your weight class. But the thing to keep in mind is that if you're teaming up with other carnivore players, you'll need to split the loot from your kills. This gets to be a problem if your entire team is playing as the larger, more powerful dogs, because they have a much higher food cost. since pack hunting is still plenty effective even when the individual members of a pack aren't particularly strong. It makes sense why the dire wolf player base eventually shifted towards the smaller gray wolf build. Still, at the time, they were a force to be reckoned with, although they often were unable to defend their kills from the more powerful solo DPS builds of the Ice Age. All in all, not top tier, but by no means low tier. Alright, so in A tier we've reached builds that are all pretty much unimpeachably overpowered, and would still likely rule the meta today, if not for the absolutely broken build that is the human. First, let's talk about the most famous build from the Ice Age, the Mammoth. Mammoths had the highest HP of any Ice Age build, and also some top tier gear, second only to the woolly rhino. Mammoths, as well as elephants today, also had one of the most unique abilities ever seen in the game, a trunk. Choosing between a quadrupedal and bipedal build is a difficult choice. Quadrupeds are much more stable and tend to have higher run speeds.
Look at that!
Using all four limbs to walk means you can't use them to grab or pick up items. Proboscideans like mammoths and elephants subvert this issue by putting enough points into the nose skill tree to unlock the trunk, basically giving themselves a fifth appendage. This is an extremely powerful and versatile ability that easily earns them a high tier spot. The only thing keeping them
That bot will be like, oh, you want some of this? You want some of this? The elephant like, man, get out of here.
down is that they had an absolutely abysmal matchup versus humans. While many of the Ice Age mid tier and top tiers had an unfavorable matchup against humans, the mammoths was especially terrible, because they're such a big target and worth so much XP. At the top end of A tier is the other Ice Age all-star, the Saber-Tooth. In terms of critical hit damage, nothing else even comes close to what sabers can dish out. Sabers actually had a different playstyle than the big cats of present day. Their lower agility made it tough for them to chase down prey, and so they had to use stealth not just to get close, but to get literally within range of a strike. They could take down basically anything that they wanted, but it's important to note that due to how fragile their fangs are, they couldn't use them in combat to deal damage to their foes. They were reserved specifically for finishing off a downed player. Their high power stat comes more from their bulky front limbs than from their teeth.
That's like a dagger.
While few builds could stand up to them.
Plus you have to take your target down and then stab it. So that's what that was.
They did have a poor matchup against the next two builds on the list, the top tiers. The first S tier is the giant ground sloth. A build I've discussed at length in my video about why sloths aren't OP anymore. But to recap, they could body just about anyone in a 1v1 match. And because they were one of the few mammals to pull off bipedalism correctly, they were much less vulnerable to stealth-based approach strategies due to their height. Check out this video for more info on it. Last on our list is the cave bear.
Sloths used to be that's big and terrifying. Those stupid sloths that just stay on the tree, slow as F. They used to be that big. Goddamn! Imagine if that thing was still roaming around. We would think completely different on sloths, man. Every time we see a species that's not that big or that terrifying, just some small like sloths or something, we always think, look at this stupid. They are no predator. But we have no idea. There could have been time in the past that, one of their species could have been really dominant.
Cave bears just had insane stats across the board.
Yeah, there you go.
And here's the kicker. They were scavengers. You can't just put these kinds of stats on a scavenger. A bear this big could steal kills from entire packs of dire wolves or saber-tooths all by itself. But if there weren't any chumps around to do the bear's work for it, the bear could either take down some huge quarry by itself, or simply fall back on the numerous herbivorous options available to it. It's obvious that the devs had to nerf this build, because it had basically no weaknesses.
Seriously.
It's the only build on this list that humans are almost certainly not responsible for the extinction.
Seriously, that was just OP, man. This cave bear can basically take down packs, take down any prey, and if you can't find any prey, just eat some vegetation or something. This is ridiculous. That's way OP. Way too flexible, man.
In fact, the reasons for the bear player base shifting towards the smaller bear builds aren't well understood by data miners at this point. All we do know is that when they were in the game, they were absolutely broken during a meta full of broken builds. If you like learning about builds from past,
I guess they like this, like you said, scavengers. So basically, they probably didn't go to hibernation like the bear we have today. Yeah, so they had to constantly find on the move, find their food or something. They were big, so probably require lots of food. And after, because of Ice Age, basically, lots of them just went hungry and I guess went extinct because of that. Didn't have much, to eat. I guess I don't know. Otherwise, what could be the reason? Because before when I was a kid, before I playing all this game and things, when I realized what a cave bear is, I always thought cave bears still exist. I didn't know they were this powerful. I just thought there's also a bear called just like the brown bears. There's also cave bear too. But no, cave bears are extinct apparently. They were really OP. I think, I reacted to the bear video from TierZoo. In that, he talked about cave bear. In that, I think, I realized that, oh, wait a minute, there is no cave bear around and they are really OP apparently.
Past expansions, there are tons of documentaries I'd recommend. My favorite is the Walking With series, including Walking with Dinosaurs, Walking with Monsters, and Walking with Beasts. Many of the clips in my videos are from these documentaries, as well as many others, as I'm sure many of you have recognized. While they're awesome resources for learning about prehistory, they're worth watching for the nostalgia factor alone. Lucky for you guys, I've been sponsored by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service with a massive...
Yeah, people, go to curiositystream.com/TierZoo and support this channel. Use the promo TierZoo. Yeah, this is Ice Age tier list. I mean, a woolly mammoth, like people have said, it's not as big as, I guess, African elephants. But I think Saber-Tooth tiger was definitely way more OP than our tiger we have today, because like we see in the video, they had to take down much larger predators because they were not that mobile and fast. So obviously they had to take down larger preys, because larger preys cannot run away. So they had to be more powerful. Yeah, but that sloth thing surprised me. I never thought sloths would be that big. That thing was humongous. That thing was just, scaring Saber-Tooth tiger away. Damn, if that thing was around today, that would be so weird. Let's just say, of all the past patches that happened, all the scary and big animals are not around anymore. I mean, we have big cats, but can you even think of anything like this, like big sloths and things like that? Lots of things that are really terrifying does not exist anymore. That's good, isn't it? Because we are frightened by all these big cats like, jaguars, tigers, lions. But imagine if there were really terrifying big predators who still roaming around in the jungle. That would be a different mentality. Yeah, that was the Ice Age tier list. Alright people, if you like my reaction, do like and subscribe. Check out the reaction today. There's a link in the description. Check out the cast world playlist at TierZoo. Boldly sarcastic production. I started to react to that recently. I react to that every day, I guess. I'm gonna react to another video from them just after this, an hour or two after I post this, I guess. And yeah, I'll see you next time.